This is Maria Garcia. I'm a founder and lead organizer of the Malinche PDX, and I'm organizing Day of the Celebration 2020. And today we have a spectacular guest. Is Gerardo Calderon, a really good friend but great local musician from Mexico City as well. And we have a very interesting conversation, concert. And we are going to be listening to pre-Hispanic instruments and learn about who Gerardo Calderon is and his work in Oregon. So let's start, and I welcome you, Gerardo. Thank you for being here today.
Gracias María, gracias por invitarme a este evento tan importante que es Día de Muertos. Thank you María for inviting me to be part of this great event, Día de Muertos, que is coming up pretty soon. So estoy muy contento de estar aquí contigo.
Gracias. So this is the second year Gerardo collaborates with us. And last year we were at Portland Art Museum, and he was the musician who was performing all these beautiful instruments in the Mark building. So this year, as you know, we have these all these restrictions around us, but we truly believe that art and culture should continue existing no matter what, and we should continue to celebrate. So today we are gonna listen to these beautiful instruments and learn about that. So Gerardo, tell us who Gerardo is. ¿Quién es Gerardo? And the work that you do, and why pre-Hispanic instruments?
Well, yeah, so I'm from Mexico City originally. I was born and raised in Mexico, and while I was there, I started studying Latin American folk music. Is what I focused for a while while I was in Mexico, and then I started learning about Mexican folk music. So I was went back and forth, but always on the traditional music genre. And then when I moved up to the U.S., I discovered that I realized that I was missing my country a lot, and that's when I discovered the pre-Hispanic world of music. And so I've been collecting music and instruments from all over Latin America and Mexico. So this time, I brought some of the flutes that I have collected throughout the years in clay flutes, and made some of them mostly are made by a great investigator, researcher, Gregorio Cortés, who passed not too long ago. Pero bueno, y ahora traigo estos instrumentos de barro, de arcilla, como algunos le quieren llamar, y los instrumentos de viento o aerófonos se dividen en dos partes, ¿no? Lo que son las flautas. La flauta es un instrumento que tiene más de un agujero, que lo voy a mostrar aquí. No sé si pueden hacer un close-up, pero mira, esta tiene más de un agujero, entonces tienes que tocar todos para producir una melodía. Y los silbatos, que son como nada más tienen una apertura, ¿no? Entonces tú tienes que manipular de cualquier manera con una apertura del silbato. O sea, esta es de lo que vamos a hablar ahorita. Pero así, entonces, por eso me nació la curiosidad de aprender más de mi cultura, ¿no? Mexicana. So I'm so proud of these instruments and where I'm moving towards with all these instruments.
And I know you're very active in the community y vas a las escuelas y les enseñas a los niños. I know you go to schools and interact with kids. And what's the reaction of the kids when I think when we think about instruments, we think about guitars and piano, never think about instruments made of clay.
Yeah,
Nunca pensamos
correct.
en los instrumentos hechos de barro, siempre pensamos en los instrumentos como el piano, la guitarra. Pero cuando vas a las escuelas, los niños, ¿qué dicen? What do the kids say?
Bueno, es muy interesante la pregunta porque, bueno, los niños eh, son muy curiosos por naturaleza, ¿no? Entonces cuando ven, y yo cuando voy a las escuelas normalmente llevo más instrumentos, ¿no? De otros países de Latinoamérica. Y no, pues ven estos instrumentos y la reacción de ellos así como es como de asombro, ¿no? So when I go to the schools and I bring more instruments, not just the clay flutes, other instruments from Latin America, but the kids' faces is so they don't know.
They're so amazed.
Yeah, they are amazed. They don't know what to expect from these instruments. So what I like to do when I go to schools is I talk to I talk about the history and influences because uh, I'm going to talk a little bit about the historical background of the instruments as well. But yeah, so I talk to the students about the history, and I like to play, if I can, all the instruments. So me gusta hablarles de la historia, de por qué el barro y todo eso. Pero también me gusta tocar cada instrumento si puedo, ¿no? Para que los niños escuchen las diferentes texturas, ¿no? de los instrumentos, ¿no? No es lo mismo la textura de un instrumento de barro a un instrumento a una flauta hecha de bambú o de carrizo, ¿no? O incluso de metal, ¿no? Entonces, y tambores, también toco tambores y les explico. Pero sí, la reacción de los niños siempre ha sido así como, wow, no saben y, bueno, no saben qué esperar de todo esto, ¿no?
¿Cuál es el instrumento favorito de los niños? What's the favorite instrument of the kids that you can
Yeah,
tell?
so among the clay flutes and clay whistles, I have this little. There are three clay whistles that they really like. So one of them is this little whistle. It's called wind whistle, el silbato de viento. Y pues lo voy a tocar para que escuchen. Entonces, los niños no se imaginan qué tipo de sonido hace esto, ¿no? También tenemos que tomar en cuenta que las culturas antiguas de cualquier manera honoraban a la madre tierra, ¿no? Ya sea haciendo instrumentos, produciendo un sonido de la naturaleza o haciendo instrumentos que producían sonidos de un animal, ¿no? Pero este suena así. Tengo que quitar mi máscara. Entonces cuando toco este instrumento ellos así como, what?
How did you do that?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on with this? But it is very interesting for me to see the kids' reactions, you know.
You know, just a few seconds of you blowing the whistle, I felt like, I don't know, it brought memories of being somewhere in the forest, like an open space. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know, it's just a quick thought of freedom,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
because of the wind,
Yeah.
right?
Well, even the wind or the wind whistle was used for other purposes, you know. And so we have another instrument. It's called el silbato de la muerte.
Oh, I love that one.
Not
Really,
me.
it's interesting.
Yeah, but you know the interesting thing is the same concept, you know, as far as you know how they make them, you know. Obviously this is bigger, you know, pero es el mismo concepto en realidad, ¿no? Pero bueno, ¿quieres que toque este
Sí,
silbato
sí, sí.
de la muerte?
That's kind of scary, but
I know.
like
Okay, ahí voy. Obviously you have to blow harder to produce that sound. Este es el silbato de la muerte. Y lo que se ha leído, se ha sacado por conclusión de este instrumento de la muerte es de que este instrumento lo usaban para espantar al enemigo, en este caso los europeos, ¿no? Cuando sabían los nativos de México que iban a llegar a ciertas aldeas, ellos se preparaban con esto en la noche, porque los ataques casi siempre han sido
En
en
la
las
noche.
noches, ¿no? Entonces se escondían. Imagínate escucharnos 30, 50 personas tocando
No, pues
al
sí,
mismo
qué miedo.
tiempo. No, los enemigos salían,
Se
pero
iban hasta
sí,
allá me voy.
ahora sí decían patitas, ¿para qué las quiero, no?
Eso es interesante, lo podemos decir en inglés para que la
Ya,
gente
ya,
sepa.
so this the silbato de la muerte, the death whistle, versus this is the wind whistle, this is the death whistle, and they have pretty much the same structure. Uh, so by saying structure, because the way they make them is pretty much the same, but this is a little bigger. It has the same chamber right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. And this has the little chamber here where the wind goes in and produces the sound. But you know the folk tales and historians and archaeologists, researchers said that the death whistle was used to scare away the enemies. So most of the times when the enemies want to conquer or invade in a place, they go at night. So uh, so native people will be hiding like behind the trees at night, waiting for the enemy to come. So once the enemy got closer to the village, like probably between 20 to 60 native people will be playing this at the same time. So the enemy just ran away. So they scared them off. So that was their weapon, for the native people to scare away the enemy. So pues son bien diferentes, ¿no?
Ajá.
Bueno, regresando a lo que me preguntabas, ¿no? De cuáles, qué instrumentos son los instrumentos favoritos de los niños. Bueno, primero es el silbato de viento, y luego también este otro silbato que tiene una forma de
Como un puño, un escudo,
es
un
águila,
corazón. Oh,
es un águila.
oh okay, yeah. An
Entonces,
eagle. Yeah, it has an eagle shape.
O sea, este instrumento se llama silbato de águila, que también hay una controversia medio interesante en ese nombre, porque eh, al menos las águilas ah, que viven en esta zona no hacen el sonido que voy a producir, lo hacen los halcones. Y eso para mí fue una sorpresa bien grande, porque una vez estaba en la escuela y le presenté este silbato, le dije, bueno, este es el silbato de águila, lo toqué
Y te llegaron los halcones.
y no, y un niño me dijo, ¿sabe qué, maestro? Las águilas no hacen ese sonido, son los halcones. Wow. La verdad yo no sabía ni qué decir. Entonces siempre que voy a México, digo, a lo mejor las águilas mexicanas hacen este ruido, ¿no? No he tenido chance de comprobar eso, ¿no? So this is the eagle whistle, and so I was telling Maria that there's a little controversy about the sound that this eagle whistle produces, because the eagles doesn't produce this sound, and you're gonna hear the sound that this instrument produces. But one of the well, I'm gonna play, and then I'll continue telling the story. Here I go. So you hear the sound, ya escucharon el sonido. So one day I was performing in a school, and I showed the students this instrument, and I play it, and I say, okay, this instrument is called the eagle whistle, and so I play, and one of the students was, teacher, excuse me, the eagles doesn't make the sound, and I was, what? He said, no, the hawks are the ones that make that sound. So now it's like, I don't know. So so I'm telling Maria that next time I go to Mexico, I'm gonna try to find out. I'm gonna make sure that the eagles in Mexico produce this sound. But it's interesting, like a little kid, a little kid notice it, like, oh my God. But anyway, so this is the eagle whistle, so one of the children's favorite instruments, and this is the other one. This one has a shape of
Jaguar?
yeah. So this is the jaguar whistle. And this is pretty cool because, you know, when I go to school, kids, not like, hanging out. But when I play this, like, wow, they even jump.
They wake up.
No, and they jump. So the jaguar whistle sounds like this. So when I do that, the kids, wow. So, but yeah. So, and it's very interesting, like one thing that amazes me about all these instruments and about the other instruments that I have at home is like the way they make them. The obviously before they have a lot of time to make instruments. They were not as busy as we are right now. And the technique to make these instruments is just amazing. Like the wing whistle, for example. Let's go back to this. So they obviously spend some time trying to figure out how they can produce the sound of the wind. I don't know how long it took them to find out, but it's just like unique instrument. Or the triple flutes, or the clapizzalis, or the double flutes. I'm gonna play some of them. So just like how much technology they had. In some of the instruments that have been found in our archaeological sites, some of the instruments are tuned. So now, me, if I need to tune my guitar, or I need to use a electronic device, but they didn't have that. So they have their ears very
I think I
open
tune
and
with the
awake.
nature, right? Like you mentioned it before, because
Yeah.
most of these instruments allude to nature one
Yeah.
way or another,
Mhm.
right? And the beliefs of our ancestors that, the father sun, the mother moon, the mother earth, right?
Mhm.
The father wind. Um, so there were these deities, right?
Yeah.
There was so much respect and love to nature. I think they were connected in a way that we are not anymore,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So I guess that affinity they have to nature
Mhm.
guide them somehow through
Mhm.
the right elements to mimic, right?
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
copy the sound of the
Yeah.
elements,
Yeah.
because that's what we hear, the animals, the
Mhm.
eagle.
Mhm.
So I think that they were so sync,
Yeah.
with nature that
Yeah. Yeah. It is true, but also, like a. So what I have kind of discovered throughout the years on my musical career is that we are born with some musical notes or textures in our brain, because I'm saying that because a lot of the ancient cultures, they use the pentatonic scale, which in penta pentatonic comes from the Greek word penta, which means five.
right.
So the pentatonic scale is a five-note scale. So if you go to South America, you'll see the native people that lives in the altiplano, and they don't have electronic devices. So they tune their instruments according to the ear and according to the wind, because they cut the bamboo and they put it against the wind and go,
That's how they check.
and their ear like, oh. So
Okay.
they listen. I need a little bit more.
Wow.
In in So they came up with a pentatonic scale. In i- Also Greece and some other ancient cultures, they use pentatonic scale, and I think is that's the one that we
Here.
are born
Okay.
with. And now, we're talking about like a connecting the Mother Earth and from the spiritual side, and also that affects the making of the instruments. Whether of percussions or flutes or clay flutes. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's like, I don't know. As I say, it's very fascinating to me just even thinking about like how they make this instrument. Before even scientists they didn't know how they make the instrument until recently. Now they use X-rays and they weight the flute and all that kind of stuff. But before that, they just didn't know why they tune this instrument like that. Now they measure, they measure the size of the flutes and things like that. But it's fascinating.
Magical, right?
Sí,
Music is
es
magical.
algo muy, muy interesante
Interesante.
todo esto, ¿no? Y bueno, no vamos a hablar mucho, no, voy a tocar algunas flautas para que el público que nos está aquí escuchando, y escuchen, valga la redundancia, el sonido y la textura de estos instrumentos. Ahorita voy a tocar una flauta triple, que es esta, y las flautas de barro, muchas de ellas no tienen nombre específico como en Sudamérica, ¿no? Las conocemos por la cultura de donde son y por viendo cuántas cámaras de aire tiene, ¿no? Por ejemplo, este tiene 3, es una flauta triple, ¿no? De la cultura X, ¿no? Y suena así. Voy a tocar otra. I just play a triple flute, and so most of the clay flutes they don't have a specific name as the flutes from South America, but they do have a name according to how many chambers of sound they have, or like sound chambers. So the one that I play has 3 chambers, so it's called triple flute. I'm gonna play another triple flute in Maria talking about nature connecting to Mother Earth. So this one is shaped with
Like
a snake, and it's one of the symbols or animals that a lot of ancient cultures, I don't want to say worship, but
honor.
honor.
And respect, yeah.
They honor. So la flauta triple, que tiene la figura de una serpiente así enrollada, ¿no? Y esta tiene otra tonalidad diferente a la flauta triple que acabo de tocar. Suena así. Un sonido más bajo,
Suave.
¿no? Yeah, y más suavecito. So it has like a lower pitch, but the sound is more subtle than the other one. So, y ahora tenemos aquí una flauta doble, que bueno, ya les dije cómo se identifica, ¿no? Por las cámaras de aire que hay aquí. Y esta suena así. Y bueno, también estas flautas, por ejemplo, esta flauta que tiene, no la que acabo de tocar, pero como esta, tiene un nombre bien particular, como un nombre científico, las somorfas. Y por muchos años yo no sabía qué significaba, ¿no? Y tuve que consultar a unos amigos en México. Dicen que las flautas somorfas son las que tienen una figura de animal, ¿no? Como esta. Bueno, hay unas flautas allá abajo.
De tortuga.
Sí. Y de camaleón. Esas son las flautas somorfas, ¿no? Y pero bueno, acabo de tocar Just Play the Double Flute. Y tengo otros. Estos sí tienen también su nombre muy particular. Les llaman tlapitzalis. que es una flauta tubular como esta, ¿no? Y este también puede ser un tlapitzali porque es una flauta tubular, ¿no? So I'm gonna play this flute. This type of flute has its own specific name. They are called tlapitzalis because they are made out of one single pipe or like tubular pipe. It sounds like this. I'm gonna play another tlapitzali, smaller. So I just wanted to share like this, like a natural or universal law that the bigger the instrument, the lower the pitch, and the smaller the instrument, the higher the pitch. You know. So I play this. I'm gonna play this just so you can notice what I just said. Now I'm gonna play this other tlapitzali. So has a higher pitch. So la ley es de que entre más grande el instrumento, el, la, el registro es más bajo y entre más pequeño sea el instrumento, el registro va a ser más agudo, ¿no? Entonces son tipos de tlapitzalis. También hay esta flauta que se me hace muy interesante, que no tiene los hoyos como esta, ¿no? Entonces, ¿qué pasa con esta? Tienes que
manipular el aire tú.
Claro, usar tu creatividad. Y suena así. So this flute doesn't have holes as this other flute. So you have to put your fingers on the aperture and you start playing. And yeah, so and also I have other whistles like this one. You know, it's kind of, if you see it this
like
way,
it's
a T-shape, but it sounds pretty cool.
So to me, it sounds like every flute was played for maybe special occasions, judging by their sound, because some of them make you like
yeah,
I don't know, it's more upbeat, I guess, and like wake you up. Others, like the sound is more mellow, and so it just makes me think about specific occasions, right?
yeah.
Like, so how do you know when to play what?
You know, like at this point, and this is my own opinion. So we can go by the pitch or by the sound, but there's no, even though like archaeologists and researchers and scientists have found specific flutes in different tombs, but that doesn't mean that they were used for a funeral, or that doesn't mean that the person that was dead played the instruments. We have a lot of theories. The only thing I know that a lot of these flutes, especially, they were played but for ritual purposes, for ceremonies, or like for everyday life, but they say, okay, this tlapitzali was used to play for before a war, things like, but they're just theories, you know.
Okay.
Unfortunately, is what we have now because everything was destroyed
Mm-hmm.
when the Europeans came to this continent. And to me, that's another thing that's very fascinating to me because now we have to kind of like
Rediscover what
in,
it was
in come up with our own.
in our culture. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not like I don't use this for like rituals or something like that. I use this when I compose music. I go by you were saying, no, I go by the sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. This flute. Let's this play this triple flute. It's okay. You know, I like this one to play in certain place of my composition. You know. So once again, bueno, o sea, es my opinión personal, que hay muchas flautas, o casi todas no tienen, no hay un registro que diga esta flauta se usó para esto, o esto para tocarle una piecita de amor a la novia.
Mm-hmm.
No, desgraciadamente no tenemos eso, ¿no? Y sí, todos los compositores nos guiamos por el sonido, ¿no? Por la textura, por si son graves o agudas. Pero sí, no, yo tengo, esa es mi opinión personal, ¿no? Y yo sé que cuando vean este video, colegas míos ahí en México, que se iban a decir, what? Es mi opinión personal, ¿no? Porque incluso hay flautas que se han encontrado por ejemplo, en la zona de los mexicas, ¿no? Son flautas que después dicen, no, esta flauta es de los mayas, ¿no? Entonces, ¿por qué está acá, no?
Uh-huh.
Pero por muchos años dicen, bueno, esta flauta es...
Pues es que hubo el
mucho intercambio, todo eso,
intercambio,
¿no?
Esta que tienes, perdón, Gerardo,
Uh-huh.
tienes una víbora.
Sí,
no, There's a snake on your chair.
Por favor.
What's that?
Bueno, este es una representación del palo de lluvia, ¿no? Que de esto sí sé, porque también leo, ¿no? De vez en cuando, que y el palo de lluvia fue inventado por los sacerdotes mexicas o aztecas, ¿no? Que su nombre en náhuatl es Chicahuastli, que quiere decir sonaja de semillas, ¿no? Y ahora como nosotros lo usamos es muy libre, ¿no? Como así. Lo usamos más como para efecto de sonido, ¿no?
Agua.
Sí.
Rain.
Y suena como el agua, como un río, dependiendo como qué tan rápido dejes caer las conchas de mar, ¿no? O
And you really sounds like what?
sí, tú puedes manipular. Pero el chicahuasli original era hecho de madera, como dos víboras como trenzadas, ¿no? Y era un palo de lluvia así recto, y y como lo hacían lo usaban los sacerdotes, era le pegaban así en el suelo, ¿no? Claro, pues era un palo de lluvia más ancho, tenía más caracolitos, ¿no? Entonces ellos le hacían así. Pero imagínate, o sea, uno más grande con más conchas de mar adentro, o sea, más, pues apenas se oye, ¿no?
Uh-huh.
Pero entonces decían que le pegaban al suelo para que el sonido saliera y se conectaran con el universo, ¿no? Pero ahora pues nosotros lo usamos más como, al menos yo, con mucho respeto, pero yo lo uso más como efecto de sonido que otra cosa, ¿no? Y
so there's shells, right, inside.
Uh-huh. So yeah, this instrument it's called rain stick in English, palo de lluvia or chica wasli, its original name. And this instrument was invented by the Aztecs or Mexicas, and the priests, the Aztec priests, were the only ones allowed to play this instrument, which is kind of cool. So they didn't use it as the way I'm playing, like tip from one place to the other place, the other side. They used to pound this on the floor. So the chicahuastli or rain stick was just a single piece of wood that carved, like there were two snakes, like intertwined. It was beautiful. But they used to pound the rain stick on the floor to in order to connect with the astral world.
So I'm enjoying this conversation very much. Thank you, Gerardo, but time is running out. And I want to ask you a few questions
Yeah,
before that.
yeah, yeah.
Music can heal the soul. I know you've been studying that.
Yeah.
Or what's the healing effect of music?
Well, yeah, definitely, music can heal, and music can affect your
The mood.
state of mind, your mood, depending. So, and yeah, the question is yes, but also depends on how you use the music. Like when I was I studied music therapy for 3 years, and I learned a lot about how to manipulate or use music to manipulate. And but yeah, I mean, music is just part of our body, and music is
Energy.
yeah, energy. Now talking about energy, the music is measured by hertz, so vibration. So depending the vibration of the sound, the sound wave or the vibration travels faster or slower. So when travel is slower, it can stay in your body longer.
Like maybe classic music?
No, it's
No?
more like what I'm talking about is this. So this is a. Let me see yeah, I'm gonna do it with this. This is like a kind of low pitch sound. No, no. I have another flute. I'm gonna just walk around.
Mhm.
So this one is una flauta somorfa. Tiene la figura de un camaleón. But going back to the sound, so this one has a lower pitch sound. So because it's a lower pitch, the sound wave goes like that. But if I play this tlapizzali, or just by playing just one single note, the sound wave is.
Yeah, faster.
So in that you can manipulate your.
Stimulates the body to
Yeah.
feel it, right?
And yeah, the music can heal. Music can actually put you in a state of paranoia.
Meditation or paranoia.
No, yeah, like there are many
Yeah, there's
stories
some
about that.
music that I really cannot stand because it irritates me. Really,
Yeah.
there's some music that I just can't stand it.
Exactly.
It creates this anxiousness. I
Yeah.
don't like it.
Yeah, like a very short story. I used to play in a cruise ship years ago. In one day I went to have breakfast. They were playing like classical, piano, Chopin, very mellow and everything. But we have an hour to eat, so like probably 15 minutes before the hour ended, they start playing like Rachmaninoff, like or symphony, violins and all that kind of stuff. And I noticed that people start getting up and leave. Is
I
and
couldn't stand it.
yeah, that was the way the people from the boat telling passengers, okay, it's time
To leave.
to leave because there's more people coming in. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
that
funny.
affects you a lot. Hitler did that too.
Yes,
It the tuning for the instruments was for 32 hertz, but our good friend Hitler said, no, let's add another 8 hertz. So now it's going to be 440. And composers and symphony directors they were like, why?
wow.
Like screaming because it was a big difference. And so Hitler's theory was like, okay, so the uh, the people is already in the concentration camps are already like
Vulnerable,
agitated,
destroyed,
like
yeah.
tense.
Stressed. Uh-huh.
Just give him a little bit more tense.
Wow.
So when we kill him, to just like one feeling.
Cool.
So in the other hand, if you like a drum can heal your soul, by the sound it produces, because the drums are the closest instruments to the
To the
heartbeat,
heart.
and that's a very strong connection. I think the drums are more effective than the flutes in this
Yeah,
case.
that's true. Thank you. And then, this time of crisis and stress that I think we are all experiencing, right? Given the current circumstances and the change of everything, right? I would like to close, the segment listening to something that can help us to relax,
Yeah.
that we can.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the water you have there,
Oh,
and to me that's like relaxing. Like, how can we send a nice relaxing message that let's relax,
Yeah.
it's all
Okay.
good,
Yeah.
even though it's not that good, but we're good.
Yeah, and we have to be positive. Well, hablando del tambor, lo voy a tocar para
Yes,
que
please.
la gente escuche y tú también lo escuches. Pues este tambor, y mucha gente cree que es mexicano, pero es de influencia africana. Pero las culturas yaquis y mayos del norte de México adaptaron y adoptaron el instrumento a su con el
Región,
instrumento
sus condiciones.
sí, y muy interesante porque ahora el tambor de agua es parte del, del conjunto musical, se puede decir así, que acompaña a la danza del venado, ¿no?
Ujú.
Y suena así muy interesante. Y este tambor te puede ayudar mucho. Nada más, tan solo tocándolo así. O tú puedes nada más tratar de escuchar tu corazón.
Mhm. Like the heart. Yeah.
Pero lo interesante de este tambor es que si lo saco del agua,
Different. Nothing.
nothing. But once it's on the water, y hablando de tambores, acá tengo otro tambor muy interesante. Este es un tambor tarahumara. No sé cuántos años tiene, me lo regaló un amigo creo que era filipino, y él ya no lo usó, me lo regaló. Dijo, no, es un mega regalo, ¿no? Pero también lo que sí me dijo él, que cuando él viajaban al norte de México y fue a la Sierra Tarahumara, los tarahumaras lo tocaban así. Y yo que estoy cerca del instrumento, puedo sentir como
La vibración yo la
sí,
siento.
la
I
vibración,
can feel the vibration.
pero también
of it.
como,
Mhm.
como un cambio de sonido cuando lo volteo. Es un instrumento pero poderoso esto, ¿no? Y esto se llama tambor tarahumara, ¿no?
Mm.
Y sí tengo, bueno, más percusiones, pero pues lo que
We don't
falta
have
es
enough time.
tiempo, ¿no?
Yeah.
Sí, lo que falta es tiempo. So this instrument is an instrument from the north part of Mexico, where the Tarahumara culture lives, and the tambor is called tambor tarahumara. And the other percussion that I play, the other drum is called water drum or tambor de agua. And so uses water. The water is the resonator for the drum. And I have other instruments, but yeah, I mean, we
Well,
can.
thank you very much for supporting my um, crazy
Your vision.
vision
Yeah.
for the second year. And thank you very much for bringing all your instruments. I want to thank the Armory that is being our sponsor for this Day of the Exhibition and the cultural virtual talks. Thank you. I don't know if you want to say some final words for
Bueno,
our audience.
ya, primeramente, pues gracias por invitarme, ¿no? Y es un honor de apoyar tu visión, ¿no? Y que es también para mí importante, ¿no? Porque es parte de nuestra cultura, ¿no? Y pues hay que mantener la cultura viva, ¿no? Y no perder nuestra identidad, que es lo que yo hago en las escuelas, tratar de ¿cómo se dice? Promover la identidad, promover el empoderamiento, la autoestima de los niños, ¿no? Y pues sí, eso es lo que yo hago aquí, sobre todo en el área oeste de Estados Unidos, lo que es Oregon, Washington y el norte de California. Bueno, viajo también, ¿no? Pero es donde he pasado mucho tiempo promoviendo la cultura latinoamericana. Y la verdad para mí es un gusto estar acá, ¿no?
Gracias. Where
Yeah.
people can find you, Gerardo?
People can find me on YouTube. You just click, well, type Gerardo Calderon music, and it will take you directly to my channel. I have a website. It will be www.gcgartsproduction.com. Is my personal website.
Thank you. And one final comment. On November 1st from 6:30 to 9:30, we're going to be presenting this mapping at Portland Air Museum, the outside of the Mark building. And Gerardo is coordinating the music with the mapping.
Mhm.
So I invite everybody to come and support our celebration, either virtually and listening to these conversations we had. This is the fourth conversation we had on October 27th to November 1st. The Armory is going to be taking reservations to show our very small and humble exhibition. In November 1st from 6:30 to 9:30 at Portland Art Museum at the courtyard, we're going to watch the mapping of this interesting journey of a soul leading to the Mictlan, the land of the dead, and we're going to enjoy the beautiful music of Gerardo Calderon. So thank you very much, and you all have a good rest of the year.
Guardaditos.
Guardados.
Yeah. Buenas noches, que estén bien. Chao.